I want to thank everyone for being here today. Especially want to thank those of you who have had a keen interest in the news that's come out recently about the CalGang system and the use by the Los Angeles Police Department's force. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the people who are standing here with me. These are the folks on my team who've done most of the work to deal with the issues involving CalGang and to let us move forward with the CalGang system. Chief Ed Medrano, to my left, who is the Chief of the Division of Law Enforcement at the California Department of Justice. Jenny Rich, who is the Director of the Bureau of Justice Data and Investigative Services, who has had a keen role in helping prepare the regulations which are currently pending before the state agencies to get them rolling so that the Department of Justice can move forward with CalGang regulations for its implementation and enforcement. Phil Ferrari, who is here as well, who is a Special Assistant Attorney General dealing with law enforcement matters, public safety matters for me, and Christine Sun, who is a Special Assistant of the Attorney General's Office, who deals with a number of issues involving civil rights, community policing, other issues that affect the citizens and the rights here in the state of California. So I want to thank them for being here. I've also asked them to be prepared to answer any questions if you get pretty specific about what we're doing, what we're talking about today. Let me begin by first telling you a little bit about the CalGang system. The CalGang system is a criminal intelligence database. It's used by law enforcement agencies throughout the state to share gang-related intelligence. The law enforcement community considers the CalGang database an important tool for sharing intelligence regarding criminal street gangs and for helping agencies investigate crimes throughout the state. CalGang, indeed, any database of compiled records, offers the most value to any anti-crime efforts when it gives our law enforcement agencies that use it high-quality information. It's not hard to imagine what could happen to you if you are erroneously placed on a database like this when it involves gang membership, where you are tagged as someone who is a gang member or affiliated to a gang. After the passage of AB 90 in 2017, the California Department of Justice was given oversight responsibility for the CalGang system. Our role is to make sure that good, accurate information is being entered into the database so that all the agencies that use CalGang to help prevent criminal activity in our communities know that the system has integrity. That integrity is crucial because we know that good inputs are necessary for good outputs. CalGang's database is only as good as the information that's put in it. In January, reports surfaced of possible misuse of CalGang by the Los Angeles Police Department and its personnel, in which at least one person had been erroneously identified as a gang member by an officer. Right now, the LAPD's inputs are under the microscope, and we all have a stake in making sure that we all get this right. We do not yet have a clear or full picture of what occurred, but we know enough to know that we must act. Any falsification of police records and abuse of the CalGang database is unacceptable. As I said earlier, if Californians are falsely included in the database, that could potentially lead to them being subjected to unwarranted scrutiny by our law enforcement agencies. I want to make it clear, this is not the purpose of CalGang, nor is it the way it is meant to be or typically is used. The California Department of Justice has been in communication with Chief Michael Moore and the LAPD concerning the reports of the abuse of CalGang. Chief Moore and I have spoken, and our teams continue to talk. Here's what I'd like to report to you today on those communications. First, LAPD has informed the Department of Justice that LAPD will undertake the following: It will conduct detailed inspections of LAPD's CalGang records. It will develop new oversight procedures for CalGang entries, including multiple levels of scrutiny and supervisory review. It will retrain LAPD personnel on the criteria that must be satisfied before an individual is entered into the CalGang database. And it will require an additional level of review by a staff officer, the rank of commander or higher, for any denial of a request by an individual seeking removal from the CalGang database. The California Department of Justice, well, we informed LAPD that we will be taking independent action as well. At a minimum, we will, 1, observe those retraining sessions that the LAPD has indicated it will undertake. 2, we will conduct an independent audit and validation of CalGang entries by LAPD, not limited to the Metro Division at LAPD, which would include review of body-worn camera footage and any other recordings. And 3, we will review LAPD's internal controls and policies to improve accountability for officers related to the use of the CalGang system. These oversight activities have been outlined in a letter I have sent to Chief Moore, and they will be memorialized in a formal agreement. This does not necessarily set the full scope or limit of our actions. As we learn more, we may need to do more. If, as a result of LAPD's investigation or our own oversight efforts, new information becomes available that warrants additional responses, we can and will take further steps as authorized under AB 90, including suspending or revoking LAPD's access to the CalGang database or issuing a letter of censure. In utilizing the CalGang database, we in law enforcement are making judgments about people based on the evidence in this system. So it is imperative that the people and agencies entering that evidence are held accountable for it. And that is what the new CalGang regulations which we are proposing at the Department of Justice, and we sent those out back in December, should do when finalized. They should help us build a system that is workable, accountable, and helps us all get it right. The truth is, you can't make a regulation that stops people from blatantly lying or falsifying evidence. But you can introduce more mechanisms, robust mechanisms for accountability into the system. Our proposed regulations, which we issued back in December of 2019, would require law enforcement agencies to document the facts supporting their belief that a person is engaged in gang activity and include photos, recordings, and written and oral statements instead of simply making conclusory assertions. We would require meaningful supervisory review of entries into the database, and we would require audits of a statistically valid random sample of records at least 3 times a year to determine compliance with the regulations and to ensure that reasonable suspicion exists for each particular record. And our regulations would require agencies to notify the California Department of Justice of any misuse of the database within 5 working days. The proposed regulations will also give individuals who believe they've been entered into CalGang in error greater ability to contest the entry. All of this would improve management and oversight of the CalGang system. CalGang is an intelligence tool that our state's public safety officers rely on to protect our communities. That's why our regulations focus on making it harder to falsify information and easier for us to look into this type of misconduct. When anyone's actions violate the rules that make the system work, we will hold them accountable. At the California Department of Justice, we are committed to working with the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department and our law enforcement and partners throughout the state to ensure our policing practices and our tools work for everyone. And when they don't, the people of the state of California should know that we will hold those responsible accountable. We wish to thank Chief Moore and the team at LAPD for their collaboration to date, and we would like to thank the people of the great city of Los Angeles for this opportunity to inform them of our efforts in this matter to date.